Hey there, sleepyheads. Welcome back to the channel. Before we drift into tonight's tale of Adventure Time, Origins of the Abstract, I'd love to know where in the world you are watching from tonight and what time it is for you right now. Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical, seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. All right, lights low, blankets up, let's begin. Tonight, we're starting with segment 1. A slow and gentle walk into the misty beginnings of something quietly powerful in the land of Ooh. It's a question the show never answers directly, yet it lingers behind so many adventures, almost like a soft pulse beneath the surface of every story. Where does the idea of a hero truly come from? Not just Finn as a person, not just the brave actions we see on screen, but the deeper shape of heroism itself, the ancient silhouette that seems to appear again and again across time. In Ooh, nothing is ever just a coincidence. Patterns have a way of resurfacing, and ideas have a strange tendency to take form. When we look closely, we begin to notice something familiar woven through the world, as if Ooh remembers every hero it has ever held. There's a feeling that the heroic role is older than any character who wears it. Older even than the kingdoms and ruins scattered across the land. It's almost as if heroism is not taught or invented, but uncovered, like a forgotten melody humming beneath the soil. Finn is the one who brings it into focus for us, but the idea itself seems to drift through the ages like a soft current, slipping into the hearts of those who are ready. If we trace this current backward, we reach times before the Mushroom War, when the world still shimmered with early magic, and life took shapes that no longer exist. Those moments are barely remembered, but tiny hints remain. Ancient murals tucked away in lonely temples show figures holding swords pointed toward the horizon. The lines are faded, the colors washed away by centuries of weather and silence, but the shapes are clear enough. They almost look like Finn, though they were drawn long before he was born. In those quiet drawings, you can feel the echo of something timeless, a message carved by hands who could sense a pattern repeating even then. And then there's Shoko, Finn's past life, or perhaps his earlier echo. She lived in an age before Ooh was fully reborn from the ashes of chaos, yet her story brushes so closely against Finn's that it feels impossible to ignore. Her journey didn't shine with the same warmth that Finn's does, but the shape of heroism still curled around her, guiding her through choices that carried weight far beyond her lifetime. The moment she placed the amulet on the tree that would one day shelter Finn and Jake was more than accident. It was part of that same invisible pattern threading through history. When we look at these stories together, it starts to feel like Ooh is gently nudging certain souls towards the heroic path, not forcing them, not scripting their lives, but opening doorways and leaving soft footprints for them to follow if they feel drawn. The world itself seems to recognize when someone carries the spark. You can sense down even the way magic responds to certain people, how magical beings react to Finn with a mixture of familiarity and curiosity, as though they've seen this heroic shape before. Some places in Ooh even feel like they were built for heroes. The ruins scattered across distant landscapes carry signs of trials, tests, and forgotten rituals. It's almost as if ancient civilizations believed that heroes weren't simply born, but awakened. And so they created pathways to help that awakening happen. These old structures radiate a quiet expectation, as though waiting patiently for someone brave enough to step inside and become the next link in a chain stretching far beyond time. And yet, even with all these hints, heroism in Ooh isn't a rigid prophecy. It's gentler than that, more like a seed lying in the earth. It only grows when someone nourishes it with kindness, courage, and a willingness to face the unknown. Finn becomes a hero not because destiny demands it, but because he listens to that quiet pull in his chest. He steps forward when he could step back. He helps when he could ignore. His heroism is as natural as a tree leaning toward sunlight. Still, the reason the spark keeps returning is a deeper mystery. Maybe heroism is a response to the world's lingering wounds. After the Mushroom War reshaped the Earth, perhaps the land itself developed ways to protect its fragile rebirth. Magic is reactive in ooh, almost sentient at times, and it might call forth protectors when the balance tilts too far toward fear or destruction. The hero, in this view, becomes a living answer to the world's quiet pleas for harmony. But there's another possibility, softer and stranger, hidden in the dreamy layers of Adventure Time's lore. Perhaps the heroic shape existed even before ooh, before the war, before the kingdoms and the candy people and the elemental spirits. Maybe heroism is something woven into the fabric of reality itself, like a constellation that appears in every era, even if the people change. The universe often molds itself around patterns, repeating certain themes again and again. A hero might simply be one of those patterns, a natural formation created when people choose kindness over fear. And in a world like ooh, where ideas sometimes take physical form, that pattern could be more than symbolic. It might be an entity of its own, a subtle force drifting through time and memory, searching for a vessel. Not a spirit, not a consciousness, but an abstract shape looking for a home. When the right person comes along, with an open heart and an adventurous soul, the shape settles into them like a warm breeze curling into their steps. Finn embodies this idea beautifully. Though he is just a boy, raised by a stretchy dog in a treehouse, there is a sense that he stepped into a role that had been waiting for him. Characters across ooh recognize something in him even before he accomplishes anything significant. The world treats him as though it knows what he will become, and yet he still grows into it slowly, gently, one small act at a time. His journey is proof that the heroic shape doesn't demand perfection. It's simply drawn to those who move forward with sincerity. And as Finn wanders through forests that hum with ancient magic, through mountains carved with echoes of forgotten civilizations, the heroic shape continues its quiet work. It's not visible in the sky, nor does it whisper in a voice you could recognize immediately. It drifts like a soft current beneath the surface of everything, nudging him toward choices that matter, and away from those that would only scatter his potential. It is patient, never impatient, waiting for a moment when courage, curiosity, and compassion align perfectly. There are moments when Finn isn't aware of it at all, times when he hesitates, falters, or wonders if he is truly capable of the path before him. Yet even in these moments of doubt, the shape hovers close, not forcing, but gently guiding, almost like the invisible gravity that holds a planet in orbit. Sometimes the smallest gestures, a decision to comfort another or to stand firm in a quiet injustice, are the very ways the heroic shape anchors itself more deeply into a person. Heroism in ooh is never about grand gestures alone. It is cultivated in small, tender actions that ripple outward, eventually coalescing into something recognizable to the world. The artifacts left behind in ooh hint at this pattern as well. Weapons, amulets, and relics are often more than tools. They are vessels, memory keepers of past heroes, carriers of energy that once belonged to those who walked the path before. Finn's sword, his backpack, even the clothes he wears are imbued subtly with echoes of heroism. They respond to him not merely because of utility, but because the heroic shape recognizes in him the qualities it seeks. It is a soft resonance, an invisible thread connecting Finn to the heroes of previous centuries, to Shoko and beyond, stretching back into the deep past. The land itself seems to remember. Trees lean toward the brave. Streams carve paths around those with pure intentions. And caverns open only when the seeker is aligned with the quiet expectations of courage and compassion. Magic in Ooh often reacts to emotion, intention, and the presence of certain archetypal energies, and the heroic shape is one of the oldest, most persistent of these energies. It is as if the world itself conspires not through force, but through subtle invitation, calling out to those who might answer. Even those who never see themselves as heroes are touched by this influence. Consider the villagers, the candy folk, and the elemental creatures. They act in ways that support the growth of heroism, knowingly or not, weaving a tapestry of events and interactions that eventually provide fertile ground for a hero to emerge. Finn is not alone, and heroism in Ooh is rarely a solitary journey. It thrives in the quiet cooperation of life itself, in the unseen ways the world responds to those who walk the right path. The heroic shape is therefore not merely an idea in isolation, but a living pattern woven through the entirety of Ooh, quietly orchestrating the emergence of those meant to carry it. The more we look, the more we realize that heroism is a dialogue between the individual and the world. Finn moves and Ooh responds. Ooh stretches out pathways and Finn steps forward. It is a gentle interplay, like a dance whose rhythm predates the dancers. And yet, despite its constancy, the shape is never identical from one hero to the next. Shoko, Finn, and even figures, glimpsed in ruins or half-remembered tales, all manifest heroism differently. Each becomes a unique vessel, a distinct pattern, while still echoing the same archetypal form. This is why the heroic shape never feels static. It is fluid, responding to the world as much as the world responds to it. And perhaps this is the most fascinating part. The heroic shape is not born from conquest, glory, or recognition. It arises in response to curiosity, empathy, and the willingness to step forward even when the outcome is unknown. Finn's adventures, full of whimsy, danger, and the occasional heartbreak, are all expressions of this slow unfolding. Each step, each choice, no matter how small, adds depth to the pattern, solidifying it not as a rule or a destiny imposed from above, but as a living, breathing presence that grows with the hero who embraces it. The quiet suggestion, when you let your mind drift through the ruins, the forests, the floating islands, and the distant mountains of Ooh, is that heroism may be something more than a personal quality. It might be a subtle force embedded in the cosmos itself, a thread that stretches across time, connecting lives and stories, shaping the world in response to those who are brave enough to listen. It waits, like a patient melody, for the one whose heart aligns with its rhythm. Finn, in all his innocence, curiosity, and courage, becomes that melody made visible. And as we continue to explore the origins of this abstract pattern, we begin to notice even more hints tucked into the quiet corners of O. We see glimpses in forgotten texts, in the gestures of creatures who have long forgotten why they act, and in the silent spaces between stars that seem to flicker with memories of heroes who walked before. The heroic shape is everywhere, yet never forced, a subtle harmony of intention and chance, growing patiently until someone comes along to carry it forward, to make it tangible in the living world. And as we drift deeper into this gentle mystery, it becomes clear that the heroic shape is not merely a human construct. It extends beyond the confines of any one being, touching creatures, objects, and even the land itself. The shape has a quiet way of weaving through reality, almost like a river moving beneath the soil, unseen yet shaping the growth of everything above. Mountains rise in patterns that suggest protection. Forests grow to create paths for the brave, and ancient ruins are scattered in configurations that seem almost intentionally designed to challenge, to teach, to guide. There is a rhythm here, subtle and patient, and it hums softly beneath the surface of Ooh, waiting for the right soul to align with it. If we look at the history of Ooh through this lens, we see cycles of heroes appearing, each connected in ways that the world remembers, even if the inhabitants do not. Shoko's story, the brief glimmers of other past champions and ruins, and Finn's own adventures are all part of a long continuum. Time in Ooh is elastic in this sense. The heroic shape doesn't adhere strictly to chronological order. It reaches across centuries, sometimes taking centuries to reawaken in a new form, always seeking the heart capable of answering its silent call. The hero is chosen not by chance, but by the resonance between their inner courage and the gentle tug of the world itself. And yet, the heroic shape is not static. It evolves with each life that carries it, subtly changing to fit the needs of the era, the temperament of the hero, and the challenges of the time. Shoko's heroism was quiet, shadowed by survival and endurance, while Finn's is a bright, living expression, full of optimism, curiosity, and playful courage. Both are valid, both are necessary, and both echo the same deeper form that exists beyond time. Heroism in Ooh is a living idea, adaptable, responsive, and profoundly patient. There is also an almost sacred relationship between hero and magic in this unfolding. Ooh itself is suffused with magical energies, lingering traces of ancient civilizations, and forces that respond to intention. The heroic shape seems to attune itself to these forces, awakening them when needed, and calling upon them in subtle ways to assist the journey. Finn's encounters with elemental spirits, enchanted artifacts, and sentient beings are rarely mere coincidence. Each interaction reflects a dialogue between the hero and the invisible pattern guiding him, a conversation that can take centuries to complete and is often imperceptible to anyone but the one listening closely. Sometimes the heroic shape manifests through artifacts, objects imbued with memories, stories, and latent energy. The Enchiridion, the various swords Finn has wielded, and even his backpack carry traces of this presence. They are more than tools. They are companions, reminders, and conduits for the silent encouragement of heroism. When Finn holds a sword, he is holding not just a weapon, but centuries of accumulated potential, a shape of courage that existed long before him and will continue long after him. It is as though every hero leaves a whisper of themselves behind, so that the next who comes along may find guidance in the echoes of those who have walked the path before. The land itself also seems to nurture this unfolding, responding to the presence of the hero with subtle guidance. Streams curve to mark safer passages. Light falls gently upon paths less traveled, and trees sway as if whispering encouragement. Even the smallest creatures, whose lives are fleeting and whose actions seem inconsequential, participate quietly in this vast choreography. In O, the heroic shape is never alone. It is surrounded, supported, and echoed by a living network of beings, landscapes, and magical currents. Everything collaborates in a delicate, patient, and invisible dance. And perhaps this is why the heroic shape feels so intimate, yet vast at the same time. It is as much a part of Ooh as rivers, mountains, and skies, yet it touches the soul in ways that are deeply personal. It does not demand grand victories or spectacles. It thrives on choice, empathy, and a willingness to face what is unknown with an open heart. Finn's courage is not loud or ostentatious. It is quiet, steady, and responsive. It is proof that the heroic shape works not by dictating action, but by inviting alignment, by offering a path that those attuned to its rhythm can follow step by careful step. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this pattern is that it is forgiving. Heroism in Ooh does not demand perfection. Finn makes mistakes, stumbles, and sometimes fails spectacularly, yet the shape does not abandon him. It persists, patient as ever, giving him chances to realign, to learn, and to continue. This is the essence of its quiet power. It does not coerce. It does not judge. It simply exists, a persistent whisper beneath the clamor of life, waiting for the one whose heart is ready to listen and whose spirit is willing to act. And when we step back and observe the world of Ooh from this perspective, we begin to see that heroism is a living thread in the fabric of reality, one that winds its way through history, magic, and the hearts of those it touches. Finn is not the origin of heroism, nor the sole bearer of it. He is a manifestation, a temporary vessel of something eternal and patient, a shape older than the kingdoms, older than the ruins, older than even the forests that hum with latent magic. And in noticing this, we realize that heroism is never truly confined to a single person. It exists as a quiet, enduring presence, patiently waiting, softly guiding, and gently shaping the world through those who are ready to walk its path. And as the heroic shape flows through Ooh, we begin to notice the subtle ways it interacts not just with people, but with the very concept of life and story itself. It has a way of reaching into the moments when courage feels smallest and amplifying them, turning a simple choice into something meaningful, into something that echoes. Consider Finn standing before impossible odds or facing creatures he barely understands. To an outside observer, it might seem like chance or luck. But if you look closer, it is the heroic shape at work, patiently weaving a thread between action and consequence, shaping events so that even the smallest gestures accumulate into a legacy. This shape, though ancient, is never rigid. It bends and sways with the currents of Ooh, adapting to the unique resonance of the individual it touches. In Finn, we see exuberance, playfulness, and a relentless curiosity that colors the way the heroic shape expresses itself. In Shoko, there is quiet endurance, a disciplined courage shaped by hardship and shadow. Each hero manifests the pattern differently, yet beneath these variations lies the same guiding presence, a presence that has persisted through cycles of time, waiting for the right convergence of heart, intention, and circumstance. It's also worth considering the ways that other beings respond to this shape. Characters like Jake, BMO, and even the spirits and elemental entities of Ooh sense it, often unconsciously, and they react accordingly. Their interactions with Finn are rarely random. There is a gentle acknowledgement, a recognition of alignment with something greater, something abstract yet tangible. Even antagonists, when seen through the quiet lens of this shape, play a role. Challenges and opposition are often necessary for the heroic shape to assert itself, to reveal the strength and growth inherent in the journey of becoming. The world of Ooh, then, is not a backdrop, but a participant, a living stage that responds, adjusts, and nurtures the unfolding of heroism. And in these quiet, interconnected ripples, we find the true magic of the heroic shape. It is not merely a concept, nor simply a role in a story. It is a subtle orchestration of reality itself. Each act of bravery, each moment of compassion, each choice to move forward in spite of fear contributes to its resonance. Finn's heroic deeds are meaningful, not just because of the outcomes they produce, but because they reverberate through this invisible pattern, strengthening it, giving it form, and ensuring its continuity. The heroic shape is alive not as a creature, but as a rhythm, that pulses through time, waiting patiently for those attuned to its quiet song. Perhaps the most delicate aspect of this force is its invisibility. It does not shout. It does not demand attention. It slips into the moments when the world is quiet, in pauses between heartbeats, and in the gentle inhale before a leap into the unknown. It is in the courage of a child who climbs a mountain just to see what lies beyond, in the selflessness of one who helps without expectation, in the curiosity that pushes someone to ask questions the world has long forgotten how to answer. In Ooh, these small acts are the way the heroic shape anchors itself, knitting itself into the lives of those who are ready to embrace it. And perhaps this is why the idea of a hero feels so familiar yet elusive, comforting yet mysterious. It exists beyond the confines of time, beyond the particulars of any one story or character. It is a quiet current beneath the surface of the world, a presence that endures through cycles of creation and destruction, war and peace, light and shadow. Finn is one manifestation of this presence, Shoko another, and countless unnamed figures before them, all vessels for something larger than themselves. Each vessel is unique, yet each contributes to the continuity of the heroic shape, ensuring that it remains a living, breathing part of the universe. The heroic shape is patient because it must be. It does not act with haste or demand immediate recognition. It waits for the right conditions, the right alignment of spirit and circumstance. In the quiet moments when Finn is unsure, hesitant, or afraid, the shape does not abandon him. It lingers, a subtle encouragement, nudging him toward the choice that aligns with courage and compassion. It is gentle, yet persistent, quiet, yet undeniable, a rhythm that exists at the intersection of choice and destiny. And so, as we lay our heads back into the soft embrace of night and drift with these thoughts, we can imagine the heroic shape flowing silently through Ooh. It moves through time and space, through ruins and forests, through mountains and streams, through the lives of those who may never realize the depth of its presence. It exists in small acts of bravery, in tender moments of kindness, in choices made without expectation of reward. It is both everywhere and nowhere, abstract, yet profoundly real, patient, gentle, and eternal. And in Finn, we see it bloom, a living echo of a force older than kingdoms, older than magic, older than even the quiet stars that blink across the Ooh night sky. Through him, the heroic shape whispers softly into the world, inviting new echoes, new stories, and new lives to align with its quiet rhythm. It is a force that teaches us, even as we watch from afar, that heroism is not simply born. It is discovered, nurtured, and awakened in those who are willing to walk its path. And so the story of the heroic shape continues, flowing onward, patient, enduring, and infinitely gentle. Now, as our eyes grow heavy and the world outside drifts into quiet slumber, we can let ourselves imagine the soft current of this heroic shape weaving through the night, through Ooh, and perhaps even through our own dreams. As we ease further into the quiet mysteries of Ooh, let us drift now into a subtler, gentler current, the way that stories themselves, the tales whispered through generations, the legends sung softly by the wind, can become alive. In Adventure Time, stories are never just words on paper or fleeting memories spoken aloud. They carry weight, intention, and energy. They linger in the air, and if the conditions are right, they take form. Tonight, we will explore this curious and delicate magic, the life of stories, and how narratives, given enough attention and belief, can grow into beings. Stories in Ooh are older than the kingdoms, older than the candy people, and perhaps even older than the ruins left by the Mushroom War. They float invisibly like mist across a valley, touched by imagination and memory. Think of the ancient epics hinted at in murals, the fables told by elders to children beneath the stars, or even the whispered rumors of magic that seem to have a life of their own. Every story contains fragments of emotion, intention, and dream stuff, a subtle energy that, over time, accumulates and organizes itself. It is as if the story seeks its own continuity, slowly gathering shape until it can almost walk, breathe, and act on its own. Consider Prismo's wish magic. A simple, spoken desire becomes reality, and yet, when the wish interacts with the fabric of existence, it begins to follow its own logic, almost like a narrative gaining autonomy. The Lich is another example, though darker and more cautionary. He is a story of entropy and destruction made real, born not just from events, but from collective fears, whispered legends, and the persistent energy of imagination. In this way, stories are not inert. They are potential waiting to crystallize into form, a phenomenon that the very air of Oo encourages and nourishes. The forest, the mountains, the streams, they remember. When someone tells a story, the land itself seems to listen. Old trees lean closer, streams shift to reflect the tale's flow, and stones sometimes hum with vibrations of events long past. In this quiet way, stories begin to anchor themselves, establishing invisible connections between places, creatures, and people. The story does not demand recognition. It does not rush. It waits patiently, like a seed buried in fertile soil, knowing that one day it may rise to become something tangible, something that walks, breathes, or even speaks. There are stories in Oo that carry themselves almost like living entities. They influence minds and hearts without ever showing a visible form. Finn and Jake, in their adventures, often encounter remnants of these stories, enigmatic messages, mysterious artifacts, or strange phenomena that seem to react to their presence. These are not mere coincidences. They are traces of narratives that have lingered long enough, fed by attention, belief, and curiosity, that they begin to behave as if they were conscious. The process is gentle yet profound. A story begins in thought or word, then collects emotion, memory, and imagination as it moves through time. It picks up hints from those who remember, fragments from those who retell, and even shapes from the environment that has absorbed its presence. Gradually, it acquires a subtle selfhood. It does not need a body to exist. Its being is in the space between attention and imagination, a liminal presence waiting for opportunity. This is why ancient storytellers were often treated with quiet reverence. In the old civilizations hinted at across Oo, those who could shape stories were seen as conduits of something larger than themselves. They were aware, even if only intuitively, that stories could become companions, guardians, or sometimes adversaries. A tale whispered at twilight could awaken hidden forces. A fable spoken beneath a crescent moon could alter the currents of magic in the forest. Even the smallest narrative, repeated with care, had the potential to crystallize into a tangible presence if it gathered enough life. Sometimes these story beings were playful. Sometimes they were dangerous. The Candy people's folklore hints at spirits born of cautionary tales, while other myths celebrate benevolent guides and gentle protectors born from heroic sagas. Each is a manifestation of the same principle. Ideas, when nurtured by attention, take shape. In this way, the very act of storytelling becomes a kind of creation. Not metaphorical, but real, subtle, and alive. And it is not only spoken stories that can awaken. Dreams, songs, and even collective memory carry the potential to birth these beings. Marceline's music, imbued with personal experience and emotion, often seems to conjure echoes of the past, blending the tangible and the imagined. The dream realm is full of entities that may have started as nothing more than stories, legends, or fleeting imaginations, yet they exist in a form that can influence the waking world. Here the line between fiction and reality is delicate, and the life of a story is as natural and fluid as a river tracing its way through mountains. In many ways, this is why Ooh is so unpredictable and endlessly magical. The environment itself participates in storytelling. The winds carry whispers that have formed over decades. The mountains retain the echoes of journeys taken. The ruins of old civilizations murmur faintly of what was and what might have been. When someone like Finn or Princess Bubblegum interacts with these spaces, they are engaging with the memory of countless stories that have already begun to take on life. These stories are patient, waiting to find those who will engage, who will nurture them, and who will give them their next form. In some quiet corners of the multiverse, a story can become almost autonomous, seeking its own paths and subtly influencing events to ensure its continuation. This is why certain narratives in Ooh repeat across time and space, appearing in dreams, visions, or echoes in ruins. They are persistent, adaptive, and deeply alive, fed by the imagination and attention of those who inhabit the world. The act of telling a story is therefore a gentle, deliberate form of creation, one that resonates far beyond the initial words or thoughts. And as we follow these quiet currents, it becomes evident that stories in Ooh have a way of shaping the world in subtle but profound ways. When a narrative begins to take form, it influences the people, the magic, and even the land itself. A hero's tale inspires courage not only in those who hear it, but in the very environment that listens. Forests might shift slightly to make a path safer. Streams might clear in anticipation of a traveler guided by destiny, and hidden chambers might reveal themselves to those attuned to the pattern. The story, once abstract, now becomes a living guide, gently guiding actions and choices without ever demanding obedience. Finn and Jake often stumble into the influence of such narratives without realizing it. When they follow clues that seem almost too coincidental, when a mysterious artifact calls to them, or when a creature appears shaped by legend, they are interacting with the residual energy of stories that have already begun to awaken. The world around them is responsive because stories are not inert. They are threads woven into the fabric of reality, and every action, thought, or dream can tug on these threads. Even seemingly small or casual tales carry weight, and over time, these threads can accumulate enough substance to influence events directly. This is why imagination is treated with quiet reverence in Ooh. The act of imagining, of believing, of telling a story is not merely entertainment, it is creation. It is a form of magic that exists on a level parallel to spells, potions, and elemental forces. Dreams, legends, and fables are incubators of possibility, and when enough energy flows into them, they begin to crystallize into entities that can interact with the world in very real ways. A story, in this sense, is never truly finished until it has found a form and an audience willing to sustain it. Consider the darker manifestations, such as the Lich. He is a story born from collective fear, a narrative so potent that it transcends the intentions of its creators. He is both cautionary tale and living menace, a being that exists because countless minds have fed the narrative of ultimate destruction. His presence is a reminder that stories carry consequences beyond the simple act of telling. They are alive, responsive, and capable of shaping reality in accordance with the energy imbued in them. And yet, not all story beings are dark or dangerous. Some appear as guides, protectors, or gentle teachers. The Candy People's folklore, the gentle spirits of the forests, and even the strange, whimsical phenomena that Finn encounters are examples of stories given life by hope, curiosity, and compassion. They are playful, adaptive, and responsive, taking shape only as much as the energy invested in them allows. Every retelling, every song, every whispered legend adds to their depth and presence, allowing them to interact with the world and with those who are willing to listen closely. The interaction between storyteller and story is delicate, almost symbiotic. A tale grows in power and subtle agency through engagement, but it also adapts to the character of the teller. When Finn recounts an adventure, or when Marceline sings a haunting melody of a past journey, the narrative absorbs qualities of the speaker: courage, humor, sorrow, or hope. This creates a living feedback loop in which stories are nurtured, shaped, and given personality, further blurring the line between imagination and life. The narrative becomes a companion, almost sentient, responding to the intentions, desires, and emotions of those who sustain it. Even in ruins and forgotten spaces, the whispers of stories linger. Ancient texts, murals, and relics hold residual narrative energy, waiting for the right moment to awaken. When someone stumbles upon these echoes, they are not merely discovering history, they are awakening a life that has quietly existed, waiting for recognition and engagement. The story's being is patient, persistent, and infinitely subtle, capable of influencing the world in ways that feel both magical and inevitable. It is in these moments, when stories begin to breathe, that Ooh becomes a place where reality and imagination intersect so seamlessly that it is almost impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. The forest, the ruins, the artifacts, and even the creatures themselves become extensions of narrative energy. And as Finn and Jake navigate this world, their interactions with story beings illustrate the delicate balance between tension, belief, and manifestation. Stories, once awakened, are never passive. They influence, guide, and sometimes even protect, shaping the very journey of the hero who encounters them. And as we drift further into the quiet life of stories, we begin to understand that they are patient beyond our usual sense of time. They do not rush, do not clamor for attention, and do not reveal their presence until the conditions are just right. A narrative may linger in whispers for decades, perhaps centuries, building subtle connections between people, places, and events, until it finds the moment in which it can fully emerge. The energy required for a story to awaken into being is rarely conscious. It is gathered from belief, memory, hope, and sometimes even fear. Every listener, every reteller, every dreamer contributes a thread to the growing tapestry, feeding the quiet heartbeat that will eventually give the story form. In Ooh, we see this delicate emergence in creatures and phenomena that seem to embody tales. The farm world sword that Finn once glimpsed, the curious manifestations of Prismo's wishes, and even the lingering influence of past heroes can all be understood as the subtle awakening of narratives. They are not forced into existence. Rather, they are drawn into being by attention, intention, and resonance. Stories do not act with malice or design unless the energy feeding them carries such qualities. They are responsive, adaptive, and patient, existing on a threshold between thought and reality, waiting for the right convergence of events to step into the physical world. Consider for a moment the role of collective imagination. In Ooh, magic and imagination are deeply entwined. The world seems to recognize and respond to thought and creativity. Legends whispered by the candy folk, songs sung by wandering musicians, and even the quiet musings of Finn and Jake contribute to a network of energy that nurtures story beings. The more a tale is shared, the more it gathers life. Repetition, belief, and emotional engagement serve as sustenance, slowly filling the story with vitality until it can interact independently with the world around it. Yet stories are not static. They evolve as they move from mind to mind, adapting to the character and intention of those who encounter them. A tale told with curiosity and care grows differently than one whispered out of fear or resentment. This fluidity allows stories to develop personalities of their own. They respond to the world in ways that are gentle, playful, or sometimes unpredictable, depending on the qualities invested in them by those who nurture them. They are alive in a way that is subtle and almost imperceptible, yet profoundly real within the quiet logic of ooh. The consequences of this life of stories can be astonishing. When Finn embarks on an adventure that seems spontaneous or coincidental, he may in fact be moving along a path subtly influenced by the accumulated energy of stories that have existed long before him. The world reacts because these stories have already begun to organize reality around themselves. Hidden doorways, enchanted forests, and artifacts that call to the hero are manifestations of narratives that have reached a threshold of life, seeking engagement with those capable of understanding or acting within them. And the beauty of this process is that it is inherently nonlinear. Stories do not unfold according to strict timelines. They exist in layers across dimensions, and sometimes in multiple forms simultaneously. A single tale may ripple through centuries, reappearing in slightly altered form, influencing the unfolding of events long after its initial conception. The legends of old civilizations, the ruins of forgotten cities, the songs and lullabies of wandering minstrels, all are threads in this expansive, living web. The world of Ooh is fertile ground, and stories are its patient gardeners, cultivating possibility in silence and shadow. Even darker stories, those born of fear or sorrow, follow this same principle. The Lich, as an embodiment of entropy, demonstrates the capacity of a narrative to crystallize into something formidable when fed by persistent attention and collective dread. He is a cautionary illustration of the dual nature of story life. Narratives can protect and guide, but they can also unsettle, challenge, or endanger, depending on the energy sustaining them. Yet even these darker manifestations retain an elegance, a quiet consistency, and a rhythm that speaks to the underlying structure of stories as living forms. And then there are stories that cross the threshold into mentorship or guidance. Spirits, gentle entities, and playful beings in Ooh often originate as tales given life, but they are shaped by positive energy and hope. They respond to intention, offering subtle assistance or wisdom to those who encounter them. These narrative beings exist not to dominate or dictate, but to harmonize with the unfolding of events. Their presence is a whisper in the background, a reminder that stories have a life of their own, one that interacts quietly with the living world. In Ooh, almost every encounter, every strange occurrence, and every artifact carries the imprint of stories that have gained form. The world is alive with narrative energy, moving gently, patiently, shaping and guiding without explicit direction. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others traverse this tapestry of living tales, often unaware of the subtle guidance they receive from stories that have existed long before them. These narratives are patient teachers, subtle allies, and sometimes unseen obstacles, all waiting for recognition, attention, and interaction. And as we settle further into the quiet rhythm of Ooh, it becomes evident that these stories, these narratives given life, are deeply intertwined with the very consciousness of the world. They are not static echoes, but living currents that ripple outward, affecting those who come near, whether they are aware of it or not. A story may begin as a single thought, a whispered legend, or a dream. Yet over time, it gathers fragments of emotion, intention, and memory, becoming something that subtly guides, teaches, or even tests. The very air in ancient ruins, the soft hum of the forests, and the quiet shimmer of enchanted streams all carry traces of these living tales, waiting for someone to perceive them. When Finn and Jake wander through strange landscapes, they are often brushing against the residual energy of these narratives. A forgotten sword may hum softly in resonance with an old heroic tale. A cavern may seem to open at the perfect moment, as if guided by the invisible hand of a story seeking acknowledgement. The artifacts, the places, even the creatures themselves, respond not out of conscious intent, but because they are entwined with the narrative currents flowing through Ulu. Each story, once it has gained a spark of life, has a gentle agency, nudging events toward patterns that fulfill its energy and purpose. Stories in Ulu are also inherently collaborative. They are nourished by those who tell them, those who remember them, and even those who imagine them silently in their minds. Each act of engagement adds depth, color, and resonance, infusing the story with subtle vitality. Marceline's songs, with their lingering echoes of emotion and memory, are examples of how narrative energy can take shape and influence both the living world and the unseen currents of imagination. Music, memory, dreams, and spoken word all contribute to the life of stories, transforming simple ideas into entities that move and act with quiet presence. And yet, these living narratives are not bound by linear time. They drift through layers of history, through ruins and ancient texts, through the recollections of those who came before, and even through dreams yet to be dreamt. A tale told in a quiet cottage centuries ago may awaken in a wandering hero or a curious creature in the present day. The threads of stories stretch across time and space, overlapping, intersecting, and reshaping the world in subtle ways. Ulu itself, with its shifting landscapes, enchanted artifacts, and mysterious phenomena, acts as a receptive canvas for these stories to manifest, to breathe, and to act. Even darker stories demonstrate this principle. The Lich, the ultimate embodiment of entropy, is a narrative that has grown strong through collective fear, tragedy, and the unspoken dread lingering in the corners of minds across time. His existence is a testament to the power stories have to take form when they are fed energy, emotion, and belief. In Ulu, the boundary between imagination and reality is porous, allowing narratives, whether dark, bright, or somewhere in between, to step into being when the conditions are right. And yet, not all story beings are dangerous. Many act as guides, teachers, or subtle companions. The spirits of forests, the echoes in hidden caverns, the gentle presences woven into the fabric of Ulu, all reflect tales nurtured by hope, courage, and curiosity. They are responsive, adaptive, and patient, offering wisdom, direction, or comfort to those who encounter them. They are living manifestations of the narratives that shape them, evidence that stories are not inert, but active, capable of influencing the world without force, guiding those willing to perceive their quiet language. It is also important to notice the delicate balance that exists between story and storyteller. A tale grows alive not only through repetition, but through care, intention, and emotion. When Finn recounts his adventures, or when a song is sung under a quiet moon, the narrative absorbs the qualities of the speaker. Courage, curiosity, tenderness, even sorrow or wonder, all become part of the story's essence. This infusion shapes how the story behaves, how it interacts with the world, and how it responds to the next person who encounters it. In this way, narratives in Ulu are collaborative creations, continuously shaped by those who tell them and those who listen. Stories also thrive in silence. Unspoken tales, dreams half remembered, and ideas yet imagined all gather subtle energy, waiting patiently for attention. In Ooh, these latent narratives can surface unexpectedly, influencing events, guiding actions, or offering insight when least expected. The forests, ruins, and hidden corners of the land are full of these dormant stories, waiting for a moment, a listener, or a hero ready to awaken them. The act of noticing is itself part of the magic, part of the process that allows a story to step fully into the living world. Ultimately, the life of stories in Ooh teaches us something gentle and profound, that imagination is creation, that memory can shape reality, and that even the smallest whispered tale has the potential to grow, to influence, and to become alive. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless other beings wander through a world threaded with these narrative currents, often unaware of the quiet guidance they receive. Each interaction, each encounter, is subtly orchestrated by stories that have patiently taken form, growing into companions, guides, or gentle forces that shape their journeys. And as we lie back and allow our thoughts to wander through this magical land, we can picture these stories drifting softly through forests, across streams, and into hidden ruins, moving like a gentle tide through time. They are patient, delicate, and enduring, quietly influencing the world, shaping destinies, and offering guidance in the subtlest of ways. The life of stories is not always visible, not always understood, but it is always present. A quiet current beneath the surface of Ooh, waiting, breathing, and softly shaping the adventures of those who wander within its reach. As we continue our journey through the quiet mysteries of Ooh, let us settle into another subtle current, one that moves not through words or deeds, but through sound itself. Music in Ooh is more than entertainment. It is a force that threads through consciousness, bending perception, emotion, and even reality. Tonight we will explore how music carries power that is gentle yet profound, how harmonies can influence thought and feeling, and why in the world of Adventure Time, a song can be as potent as a spell. From the first notes strummed by a wandering bard to the ancient songs echoing through enchanted forests, music in Ooh has a way of shaping both the space and spirit. Marceline's bass, resonant with personal memory and emotion, is perhaps the most vivid example. But the phenomenon is universal. Melodies ripple through air and water, brushing against ears and hearts alike, carrying subtle vibrations that alter perception. These vibrations are not merely pleasant sounds. They are carriers of energy, of mood, of resonance, capable of shifting the way reality is experienced by those who hear them. Consider the lullabies sung to Finn by caring figures, or the ancient chants performed in ceremonial spaces long before the kingdoms rose. These songs are more than simple comfort or ritual. They carry intention and structure that interacts with the listener's consciousness. The rhythms, harmonics, and pauses weave a pattern that aligns with internal rhythms of thought and heartbeats, creating subtle effects that guide, soothe, or awaken. In Ooh, music often has a tangible presence because it is intertwined with magic, with emotion, and with the unseen currents that flow beneath the surface of the world. Music also interacts uniquely with memory. A melody can bring forth feelings of nostalgia, fear, hope, or courage, even when the source of the emotion is distant or forgotten. This is why Marceline's songs resonate so deeply, not just with Finn and Jake, but with the very landscape they inhabit. Her music carries fragments of experience, layers of past lives, and whispers of memory, allowing the audience to feel connections beyond time. Music, in this sense, acts as a bridge, linking consciousness across generations, echoing ancient emotions, and even shaping the perception of events as they unfold. The hypnotic quality of music in OO is also notable. Rhythms and harmonies can gently coax the mind into altered states, slowing thought, heightening awareness, or shifting the flow of time as it is perceived. This is not manipulation in a sinister sense, but a subtle attunement, a resonance between external vibrations and internal energy. Songs sung during rituals, melodies played to awaken courage, or tunes woven into spells all illustrate how sound can serve as both a guide and a tool, harmonizing the listener with forces that are otherwise imperceptible. Even objects and spaces respond to music in OO. Crystals hum when touched by the right note. Enchanted instruments vibrate with latent energy, and magical locations shift subtly in response to rhythm and melody. This interplay suggests that music is more than aesthetic. It is a language through which the world communicates with itself and with those who listen. The energy of a song can ripple outward, influencing creatures, landscapes, and even the flow of magic, creating a subtle choreography between sound and being. The transformative power of music is also evident in moments when it alters consciousness directly. Finn has often experienced insights, courage, or calmness brought about by melodies he could not have consciously predicted. These experiences are not mere coincidence. Music interacts with the nervous system, with memory, and with emotional currents, producing changes that feel almost like guidance from an invisible hand. In OO, where magic and emotion are deeply intertwined, the effect is amplified, and music becomes a bridge between the internal world of the mind and the external patterns of reality. Music can also act as a record of existence, a container for energy, memory, and emotion. Songs carry the essence of moments lived, the presence of those who created or experienced them, and even the residue of past magic. A tune hummed for comfort may carry courage. A song sung in sorrow may hold compassion. And a melody performed in triumph may contain resilience. These echoes can persist across space and time, subtly influencing those who encounter them, guiding thoughts, choices, and actions in ways that feel intuitive but are deeply real. Oh, in OO, the line between music and magic is porous. A melody can soothe a wounded heart, awaken latent courage, or even call forth hidden energies. The resonance of sound aligns with the world's own currents, allowing a skilled musician to shape not just mood, but possibility. Marceline, Prismo, and even seemingly minor musical moments demonstrate this principle. The act of creating music is, therefore, also an act of influence, a quiet shaping of reality that works best when intention is aligned with empathy, attention, and emotional truth. And perhaps most fascinating is the universality of this effect. Music does not require comprehension, only perception. A melody can move animals, magical creatures, and elemental spirits, eliciting responses that feel intuitive, yet are deeply attuned to the vibrations themselves. Harmonics, rhythm, and tonal patterns are a form of communication older than language, capable of bridging divides and creating resonance between consciousness and environment. In OO, music is a living force, a current of possibility that flows alongside magic, story, and heroism, binding them together in subtle, unseen ways. The hypnotic and transformative qualities of music are further enhanced by repetition, attention, and immersion. Songs performed at twilight, whispered in forests, or carried on the wind, gain layers of resonance, accumulating subtle energy that can influence events long after the original performance. This is why ancient melodies persist in ruins, why songs repeated by wandering minstrels carry echoes of power, and why even casual tunes in OO often seem to touch deeper currents of emotion and magic. Music is both ephemeral and enduring, subtle and powerful, capable of shaping perception, guiding thought, and awakening hidden capacities within those who hear it. And as we sink deeper into this gentle exploration, it becomes clear that music in Ooh is not merely sound. It is a form of living energy, capable of weaving consciousness and environment into a quiet, harmonious interplay. When a song is played, it does more than fill space with melody. It sets a rhythm that other forces, seen and unseen, can follow. Trees might sway in response, streams might ripple in subtle patterns, and creatures may adjust their movements or moods in ways that feel natural yet profoundly guided. The world itself listens, bending ever so slightly to the currents of music that flow through it. Finn has often experienced these subtle influences without fully realizing their origin. A song heard at the right moment can awaken courage he did not know he had, sharpen focus in a seemingly impossible situation, or calm an anxious mind before a daunting choice. Music does not dictate actions. It aligns the listener with hidden currents of possibility. It is a companion to the heroic shape and the living narratives we explored earlier, a medium through which courage, empathy, and insight can flow unobstructed into consciousness. Music becomes a form of guidance that feels intimate, personal, and ineffably connected to the larger fabric of Ooh. Even more fascinating is the way music can preserve memory and identity. Marceline's melodies often carry the essence of her experiences, moments of sorrow, joy, and reflection. When she plays, her songs resonate with the world around her, touching those who listen with traces of her own history. Instruments, too, can hold latent energy, echoing the lives of those who played them before. A harp, a drum, or even a simple flute may carry decades or centuries of experience, shaping the environment and influencing the hearts of anyone who engages with it. In Ooh, sound is a vessel for the intangible, a means by which emotion and memory are preserved and transmitted. The hypnotic quality of music also opens doors to altered perception. Listening closely to a melody can draw the mind into a state of calm focus or a gentle trance, slowing thought and heightening awareness of subtle currents around the listener. Songs can align emotion and cognition in ways that feel effortless, allowing insights to emerge that might otherwise remain hidden. Finn's moments of clarity, discovery, and even inspiration often arrive while music plays, suggesting that sound acts as a bridge, connecting consciousness to currents of possibility that lie just beyond ordinary perception. Music in Ooh also thrives on interaction. Improvised duets, shared rhythms, and responsive melodies amplify the energy of sound, creating layers of resonance that grow stronger with attention and participation. A song performed alone has subtle effects, but when multiple voices, instruments, or listeners engage, the impact deepens. Harmonics reinforce harmonics, intentions align, and the invisible threads of magic, story, and emotion interlace more tightly. In this way, music becomes a communal act, a living current that flows through every participant, connecting hearts, minds, and even landscapes in a gentle, hypnotic rhythm. The environment itself often acts as a natural amplifier. Caverns, forests, and mountains carry sound in ways that interact with magical currents, magnifying its subtle effects. Notes sung in the echoing halls of ruins may stir spirits or awaken latent energies. Melodies hummed beneath ancient trees may ripple through roots, influencing the growth and movement of life around them. Music does not merely exist in O. It participates, shaping and being shaped by the living, breathing world. It is a language older than words, a force that communicates not through logic, but through feeling, resonance, and alignment. Even darker forms of musical influence illustrate its profound power. Certain melodies, when imbued with sorrow, fear, or desperation, can evoke strong reactions in both listeners and environments. These effects are not inherently malicious. They are a reflection of the energy invested in the music itself. Just as a joyful tune can awaken courage or harmony, a song steeped in anxiety or grief can unsettle or challenge, subtly guiding the emotional landscape of those who hear it. Music in oud, therefore, carries a dual nature. It can soothe and inspire, but it can also provoke reflection, confrontation, or transformation, depending on the energy behind it. And as we float further into the gentle currents of sound, it becomes apparent that music in oud is also a bridge between worlds. In moments when the boundaries between realms grow thin, the dream realm, the cosmic void, or the lingering traces of pre-mushroom war magic, music can act as a medium through which energies, memories, and intentions flow. A melody played with care can awaken echoes of past lives, stir hidden potentials within the listener, or even momentarily align physical and metaphysical currents in ways that feel miraculous yet profoundly natural. Music, in this sense, is a form of subtle magic, operating beneath the surface of conscious perception, shaping thought, emotion, and action with a gentle, unerring hand. Finn and Jake have encountered this phenomenon countless times, often unaware of the invisible threads they are tracing. A song may calm a restless spirit, reveal hidden doors, or even summon entities that exist at the intersection of sound and intention. Music can coax the latent energy of a place into alignment, revealing patterns or possibilities that remain invisible without its guiding influence. It is a silent collaborator, an unseen companion, quietly orchestrating harmony between action, intention, and environment. The hero, in turn, becomes part of the rhythm, his choices resonating with the melody and reinforcing the delicate balance between sound and circumstance. The hypnotic quality of music is deeply tied to its structure. Rhythm, tone, and repetition create patterns that the mind instinctively recognizes and responds to. A drum beat can synchronize heart and breath. A repeated motif can focus thought, and a rising scale can evoke anticipation or courage. In oud, where magic, emotion, and consciousness intertwine, these effects are amplified. Music interacts not just with ears, but with perception itself, gently reshaping awareness and opening doors to insights and possibilities that would otherwise remain hidden. It is an invisible guide, subtly directing attention, emotion, and even action in ways that feel intuitive but are profoundly real. Furthermore, music in oud often carries intention beyond the immediate moment. Songs composed in sorrow, joy, hope, or reflection preserve traces of the creator's energy, capable of influencing listeners long after the music was first performed. Marceline's songs, layered with centuries of memory and emotion, are perhaps the clearest examples. Each note carries fragments of her history, touching those who hear them with a resonance that transcends time. Instruments themselves may retain energy, echoing the experiences of past players and subtly shaping the environment through which sound flows. In this way, music becomes both a vessel for memory and a guide for action, quietly linking past, present, and future. Even the land of oud participates in musical resonance. Forests, caves, rivers, and mountains all have subtle harmonic qualities that respond to sound. A melody hummed beneath the canopy of an ancient forest can shift the flow of air, subtly adjust light, and even influence the movements of creatures within earshot. Notes sung near crystal formations or magical artifacts may stir latent energies, coaxing patterns or possibilities into alignment. Music is not simply experience. It is shared with the world, a living, breathing force that interacts with both animate and inanimate beings, shaping perception and potential alike. The power of music also extends to emotional and psychological transformation. Songs can calm fear, awaken courage, or heighten focus. In Ooh, Finn and Jake often experience moments of insight or clarity that arrive alongside a melody, as if the music itself is guiding the mind toward alignment with hidden currents. This is not mere coincidence. Sound resonates with thought and emotion, subtly adjusting perception and influencing choice. In this way, music becomes a bridge between inner and outer worlds, a conduit through which heroes and ordinary beings alike may access courage, empathy, and insight that lies just beyond conscious reach. And it is not only positive energy that music can carry. Songs imbued with sorrow, longing, or caution can stir reflection, bring hidden fears to the surface, or provoke change. So, the influence of sound is a mirror to the energy invested in it, a living feedback loop that responds to intention, attention, and emotion. Music in Ooh is not inherently good or bad. It is alive, adaptive, and responsive, capable of shaping perception, guiding thought, and influencing the environment in ways both subtle and profound. Ultimately, the power of music in Ooh lies in its ability to harmonize consciousness with the currents of the world. It is a gentle, pervasive force, weaving together emotion, memory, story, and environment into a living fabric that supports, guides, and sometimes challenges those who encounter it. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others move through this current, often unknowingly, but always touched by the quiet, hypnotic rhythm of sound that flows beneath the surface of life. Music in Ooh is not merely heard, it is felt, experienced, and lived. A subtle yet profound companion on every journey, whispering possibilities, evoking courage, and harmonizing the heart with the quiet, infinite magic of the world around it. And as we continue to drift deeper into this gentle exploration, we begin to notice the almost imperceptible ways music in Ooh shapes not just the external world, but the inner landscapes of those who listen. A simple melody can awaken memories long forgotten, stir emotions that linger beneath the surface, or open the mind to possibilities that had seemed distant or impossible. It is as if music resonates with something intrinsic to consciousness itself, a quiet vibration that aligns thought, feeling, and intuition. In this way, sound becomes a bridge, linking the mind to the world and the individual to the currents of life and magic flowing through Ooh. Even the most mundane songs carry latent power when approached with attention. A tune hummed in a quiet moment, a lullaby sung under the canopy of stars, or a refrain repeated by friends in the midst of adventure can subtly influence mood, perspective, and choice. These effects are not flashy or immediate. They are gentle, cumulative, and profound, often revealed only in hindsight. Finn, for instance, may find courage emerging in moments of fear, clarity arriving after uncertainty, or calm washing over anxiety, all guided by melodies that he had barely noticed. Music in Ooh is both a companion and a guide, quietly shaping experience without ever forcing it. The hypnotic nature of music also demonstrates the fluidity between perception and reality. When melodies resonate with listeners, they adjust the rhythm of thought, the flow of attention, and the subtleties of emotion. In Ooh, where magic, story, and consciousness intermingle, this effect is amplified. Music becomes a tool for attunement, aligning heroes, creatures, and even landscapes with currents of possibility. Harmonies awaken dormant potentials, rhythms steady unsteady hearts, and subtle tonal shifts guide perception toward insight or understanding. It is a silent choreography, invisible but deeply felt, shaping the flow of experience as surely as rivers carve valleys or winds sculpt forests. Music's influence also extends to the very structure of the world. Notes played in resonance with a place can awaken hidden doors, reveal latent energy, or coax magical phenomena into visibility. Enchanted instruments hum in response, crystals vibrate, and creatures attuned to sound may act in ways that reflect the underlying harmony. In U, music is a subtle architect, shaping space, guiding events, and influencing consciousness in ways both immediate and enduring. A song is never truly ephemeral. It leaves traces, both tangible and invisible, that persist long after the final note fades. This capacity for lasting impact highlights another profound aspect of music, its role as a vessel for intention. Every melody, rhythm, and harmony carries the energy of its creator. Joy, sorrow, hope, and courage are embedded within notes, shaping the resonance that reaches the listener. Marceline's songs, for instance, are infused with layers of memory, emotion, and lived experience, giving them a depth that allows them to touch others profoundly. Instruments themselves can retain traces of past performances, echoing histories that influence new listeners. In this sense, music is not simply heard. It is absorbed, experienced, and lived, an enduring thread that connects the past, present, and future. The collaborative nature of musical energy is also remarkable. Songs sung in duets, improvised together, or shared among companions amplify the resonance, creating layers of energy that extend beyond the immediate moment. Harmonics reinforce harmonics, intentions align, and attention magnifies subtle effects. In U, such interaction is not mere entertainment, it is creation, a weaving of sound, intention, and energy into a living current that can influence the minds and hearts of all who engage. Music becomes a communal act, a gentle unification of consciousness that resonates through the world in subtle but undeniable ways. Even darker or more melancholic songs demonstrate this subtle influence. Music imbued with grief, fear, or longing does not merely reflect emotion. It can stir it, invite reflection, or provoke transformation. In U, where thought, magic, and story converge, these melodies can subtly guide perception, reveal hidden truths, or challenge those who hear them to confront their own feelings and choices. Music is alive, responsive, and adaptive, shaped by the energy invested in it, capable of guiding or unsettling, soothing or awakening, always gentle but profoundly present. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of music in U is its universality. Sound transcends language, species, and even planes of existence. Animals, spirits, magical entities, and human-like beings alike respond to it, each in a manner aligned with their nature and perception. Music communicates not through words, but through resonance, emotion, and rhythm, bridging divides and harmonizing consciousness across the multiverse. It is a force older than kingdoms, older than ruins, older than any map of the land itself, quietly shaping the perception and potential of those attuned to its flow. Ultimately, the power of music lies in its ability to harmonize the inner and outer worlds, to connect intention, emotion, and reality in ways subtle yet profound. It is a companion, a guide, and a force of quiet transformation. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others traverse the currents of sound, often unknowingly, yet always influenced by the gentle, hypnotic rhythm that flows beneath the surface of their adventures. Music in U is alive, breathing, and enduring, whispering possibilities, awakening courage, and harmonizing the heart with the infinite quiet magic of the world. As we drift further into the quiet mysteries of U, let us turn our attention to something even more subtle, more intimate than stories or music, the origin of souls. In Adventure Time, souls are rarely discussed directly, yet they weave through every action, every choice, and every spark of life. Tonight, we will explore the gentle and enigmatic currents from which souls emerge, the quiet energy that shapes identity and consciousness, and the delicate threads that connect every living being to something far larger than themselves. In U, a soul is more than simply a consciousness inhabiting a body. It is a complex resonance, a delicate pattern of intention, memory, and potential. Souls are not given arbitrarily, nor are they entirely separate from the world. They emerge in relationship with existence itself. They gather from experience, from attention, from the quiet energy of the universe that flows like invisible rivers beneath the surface of reality. Every heartbeat, every thought, every act of care or curiosity adds to the subtle formation of a soul, creating a presence that is both deeply personal and profoundly connected to the broader fabric of life. The source of souls in U may be thought of as a subtle field of potential, a place where energy and intention coalesce. It is not a location that can be found on a map, nor is it a singular being from which all life springs. Rather, it is a diffuse, almost imperceptible essence that flows through space and time, weaving together the consciousness of all things, trees, streams, animals, humans, magical beings. Each draws upon this field, shaping the pattern of their soul through existence itself. The soul is, in this sense, a living imprint of being, an ongoing process of formation rather than a static gift. Consider Finn, for instance. His courage, empathy, curiosity, and occasional stubbornness are not simply traits. They are manifestations of a soul that has been nurtured through experience, imagination, and choice. The same can be said for other denizens of O, each soul forming as a unique resonance, reflecting both the individual's experiences and the energies of the world surrounding them. Souls, therefore, are collaborative creations, emerging from the interaction between a living being and the environment, both physical and metaphysical, that supports its existence. The origin of a soul also appears to be deeply tied to intention and attention. The act of creation, whether magical, emotional, or narrative, contributes to the subtle currents from which a soul emerges. In the case of sentient beings, the consciousness that inhabits the body acts as a focal point, guiding the flow of energy into a distinct form. Over time, experiences accumulate, emotions imprint themselves, and memories layer upon one another, deepening the resonance and giving the soul depth, texture, and subtle agency. In this way, the emergence of a soul is a patient, organic process, shaped as much by interaction and reflection as by any external act of creation. Souls in U also interact with stories and music, the very forces we explored in previous segments. A story imbued with life contributes a subtle echo to the pattern of a soul, shaping perception, guiding choices, and even influencing emotional tendencies. Music, with its capacity to align thought and feeling, can awaken dormant qualities within the soul, harmonizing internal currents and helping the consciousness navigate both external challenges and internal reflection. The interplay between soul, story, and sound is subtle but profound, suggesting that every aspect of existence contributes to the formation and evolution of consciousness. It is also important to consider the relationship between souls and time. In U, time is fluid, non-linear, and often layered with echoes of past and future events. Souls, too, exist within this dynamic. A soul may carry traces of previous experiences, both lived and observed, shaping identity in ways that are quiet, almost imperceptible. These traces may influence decisions, emotional responses, or intuitive insights, creating a continuity of consciousness that stretches beyond a single lifespan. This continuity suggests that souls are not isolated entities, but threads woven into the larger tapestry of existence, each connected to countless others through subtle resonance. Even in magical or post-apocalyptic contexts, the formation of a soul retains this delicate complexity. The Lich, for instance, represents a distortion of soul energy, a presence shaped by fear, entropy, and destruction, rather than by curiosity or hope. His existence illustrates how the origin of a soul can be influenced, reshaped, or corrupted by the energies that feed it. Conversely, beings like Prismo, whose essence straddles time and possibility, demonstrate the fluidity and expansiveness of soul energy when it is harmonized with creation, intention, and cosmic balance. The emergence of a soul also seems to interact with choice and growth. Conscious action, reflection, and experience contribute to the subtle layering of energy that forms the essence of being. Finn's heroic decisions, Jake's adaptability, and Marceline's creative expression are all part of a process that deepens and enriches the soul, aligning it with the currents of possibility and shaping the individual's resonance within the world. In U, life itself is a gentle teacher, offering challenges, joys, and reflections that subtly guide the evolution of consciousness. And as we let our thoughts drift further into this quiet current, it becomes apparent that souls in U are also deeply connected to relationships and connection. The energy exchange between beings, whether through empathy, shared experience, or even conflict, contributes to the subtle shaping of consciousness. When Finn comforts someone in need, when Jake teaches him patience, or when Marceline shares her songs, these interactions ripple through the soul, leaving traces that influence perception, emotion, and even destiny. Souls are not solitary. They are formed and refined in communion with others, resonating with the energies they encounter, absorbing lessons, and reflecting growth. This connection extends even to the land and the environment. U itself seems attuned to the presence of souls, responding to their energies with gentle shifts or subtle guidance. Forests, rivers, mountains, and ancient ruins all carry residual traces of soul energy, reflecting the presence of life that has passed through them. This interplay is delicate and almost imperceptible, but it creates a sense of continuity, a quiet web linking all living beings to each other and to the world they inhabit. The soul, then, is not merely an individual presence. It is part of an interconnected network of resonance that stretches across space, time, and even reality itself. The formation of a soul also appears influenced by intention. Conscious focus, creativity, and care feed into the subtle currents that give a soul depth and texture. Finn's courage is amplified by his deliberate choices to act with empathy and heroism, while Jake's adaptability strengthens his resonance as he flows through life with awareness and reflection. Souls are, in this sense, shaped as much by action as by being, as much by attention as by circumstance. Every decision, every effort to understand, every moment of connection contributes to the evolving pattern of consciousness. Even seemingly small acts leave their mark. A whispered word of kindness, a shared laughter, or a moment of quiet reflection can subtly reinforce the soul's harmony. In contrast, neglect, cruelty, or fear can distort or cloud its resonance, introducing tension that requires patient care and self-awareness to balance. This dynamic quality makes the soul an ongoing project, a living, breathing aspect of existence that evolves alongside the individual, growing richer, more complex, and more attuned over time. It is also worth considering the origin of soul energy in the most abstract sense. In Ooh, there are hints that souls draw from a universal field, a vast reservoir of potentiality that exists beyond the confines of life, death, or even linear time. This field is neither fully known nor directly observed, yet its influence is undeniable. Each soul emerges from this subtle energy shaped by the experiences, attention, and intention that it encounters. It is a process of coalescence, a quiet drawing together of threads from a larger fabric, forming a unique pattern that is simultaneously individual and connected to the whole. Some beings, such as Prismo or cosmic entities, seem to exist in closer harmony with this universal source. Their awareness and alignment allow them to influence the flow of soul energy, guiding its formation or amplifying its resonance. Mortals and heroes, by contrast, interact with this source indirectly. Drawing upon it through attention is an intention and interaction with the world. This subtle relationship underscores the gentle complexity of soul formation in Ooh. It is neither simple nor entirely deterministic, but a living interplay between potential, choice, and connection. Souls also carry echoes of their own history. Experiences leave traces that shape perception, intuition, and emotional response. In Ooh, these echoes can manifest in ways that feel almost magical, guiding choices, awakening courage, or revealing hidden understanding. A soul is both vessel and map, containing the residue of past experiences while remaining open to new influences. The continuous interplay between history, interaction, and intention ensures that each soul remains a living, evolving presence within the quiet, intricate ecosystem of consciousness that defines Ooh. And as we drift ever deeper into this gentle mystery, we begin to see that souls in Ooh are profoundly linked to the concepts of potential and possibility. They are not rigid or predetermined, but fluid patterns capable of growth, transformation, and resonance. Each soul carries within it the quiet capacity to influence the world and to be influenced in return. Finn's courage, Jake's flexibility, and Marceline's creative depth are all examples of how the energy of a soul interacts with experience, shaping responses and guiding choices in subtle, often unseen ways. The soul is not a static essence. It is a living, evolving force, quietly attuning itself to life's currents. The interplay between souls and the world is delicate and ongoing. Environmental energy, magical currents, and even narrative forces subtly influence the formation and evolution of consciousness. When a hero embarks upon a quest, encounters a story being, or listens to a haunting melody, the soul responds, absorbing lessons, resonance, and energy. This process is reciprocal. The soul influences the world as much as it is shaped by it. A single act of courage or empathy can ripple outward, affecting not only the immediate situation, but also the subtle currents that weave through time, space, and even dimensions. The universality of soul energy in Ooh also extends to creatures, plants, and even inanimate objects imbued with life or magic. Souls are not confined to human or humanoid forms. They manifest wherever consciousness and potential exist. Ancient trees, enchanted instruments, mystical artifacts, and elemental beings all carry resonances of life, some more subtle than others, but none less real. This universality reinforces the notion that the source of souls is diffuse and omnipresent, a quiet field of potentiality from which consciousness can emerge, taking shape in forms both familiar and unexpected. Yet, despite their universality, each soul is distinct. The uniqueness of a soul arises from the particular combination of experiences, attention, and intention that shape it. Finn's soul differs from Jake's, not merely in personality, but in resonance, in the subtle energy that defines how he perceives, reacts, and influences the world. Even beings of similar form or purpose will carry individual patterns, reflecting the cumulative effect of life, choice, and the subtle currents of energy that have contributed to their formation. The soul is a fingerprint of consciousness, distinct yet inherently connected to the wider network of being. The process of soul formation is also intertwined with growth and transformation. Experiences of challenge, loss, joy, and reflection act as catalysts, gently reshaping the resonance of a soul over time. A moment of bravery in the face of fear strengthens courage within the pattern of consciousness. An act of empathy deepens attunement to the feelings of others. A period of quiet contemplation aligns energy in subtle, stabilizing ways. In U, life itself is the primary medium through which souls evolve, each experience adding layers of complexity, depth, and subtle power. Magic in U interacts intimately with soul energy. Spells, artifacts, enchanted locations, and mystical creatures often respond to the subtle resonance of consciousness. A magical sword may recognize its wielder, a spirit may respond to the presence of a kind soul, and a hidden path may reveal itself only to those whose resonance aligns with the latent currents of a place. Souls and magic are entwined, moving in subtle synchrony, reflecting the energy invested in life and the harmony of intention, emotion, and awareness. Even loss and transformation leave traces in soul energy. Departures, endings, and moments of grief do not erase the resonance of a soul. They redirect, reshape, and sometimes intensify. The echoes of past lives, experiences, and connections linger, influencing perception and intuition long after the initial event. These echoes can appear in dreams, memories, or subtle feelings of déjà vu, guiding decisions, awakening latent abilities, or offering gentle insight. The soul is thus a continuum, a living record of life's experiences, quietly shaping the path of those who inhabit it. The source of souls is therefore both intimate and expansive. It is intimate in that it forms the essence of individual consciousness, shaping perception, emotion, and identity. It is expansive in that it draws from a universal field of potentiality, connecting each being to the subtle energies that flow through U, linking stories, music, experiences, and relationships into a living network of resonance. Every soul is both a singular presence and part of a greater ineffable whole, quietly vibrating in harmony with the currents of existence. And as we lie here, allowing these ideas to settle like soft moonlight across the mind, we can imagine the souls of U drifting gently through the air, weaving between forests, rivers, and mountains, brushing past heroes and creatures alike. Each one carries traces of experience, intention, and resonance, shaping the world and being shaped in return. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others navigate life, guided not only by external forces, but by the quiet rhythm of their own souls, interacting with those around them and harmonizing with the subtle currents of existence. And as we settle into the quiet pulse of this understanding, it becomes clear that souls in U are not just passive essences. They are dynamic, responsive, and deeply intertwined with both choice and experience. Each soul moves through life like a gentle current, adapting to the energies it encounters, absorbing lessons, and refining its resonance with every encounter. Finn's bravery, Jake's flexibility, and Marceline's emotional depth are not merely innate traits. They are the visible expression of souls shaped by countless moments interactions, and reflections. The soul grows alongside the being it inhabits, responding to both internal intention and external influence. This growth is not always linear, nor is it predictable. Souls expand in unexpected ways, often catalyzed by subtle experiences or quiet revelations. A simple act of compassion, a whispered word of encouragement, or a song sung in solitude can leave lasting impressions, subtly reshaping the internal pattern of energy. Likewise, moments of challenge, fear, or loss deepen the soul's complexity, creating layers of resilience, empathy, and understanding. In U, the process of becoming is continuous. The soul is never complete, but always evolving, attuning itself to the rhythms of life and magic that surround it. Souls are also intimately connected to awareness. Conscious reflection, choice, and intention enhance the formation and refinement of soul energy. When Finn acts with courage, when Jake responds with empathy, or when Marceline creates music with deep feeling, they are engaging in a dialogue with their own souls, nurturing the currents that define their essence. The soul is responsive, reflecting the energy, attention, and care invested in it. It is a living map of identity, subtly guiding thought, emotion, and action, while remaining deeply intertwined with the wider currents of life in U. The interconnectivity of souls is another remarkable aspect of their existence. Every interaction leaves a trace, linking beings through subtle currents of energy. Acts of kindness, shared adventures, and even conflict create ripples that extend beyond the immediate moment, subtly influencing the formation and evolution of nearby souls. In this way, Finn's heroism, Jake's insight, and Marceline's creativity not only shape their own consciousness, but also resonate with the beings they encounter, creating a living network of energy and experience that binds the world together. Magic further amplifies the dynamic nature of soul energy. Enchanted objects, mystical locations, and magical rituals all respond to the resonance of consciousness, subtly interacting with the soul to awaken latent potential or guide action. A sword may recognize its rightful wielder. A spirit may appear only to those whose energy aligns with its own, and a hidden path may reveal itself to a soul attuned to the underlying currents of a place. These interactions reveal that souls are both shaped by and shape the magical fabric of U, existing in a delicate balance between internal intention and external influence. Even the quieter, less observable aspects of life contribute to soul formation. Dreams, fleeting thoughts, moments of wonder, and silent reflection all leave subtle traces within the consciousness, layering energy that may influence perception, intuition, and emotional depth. The soul is attentive to these currents, absorbing and integrating them over time. In U, this means that every experience, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, participates in the ongoing refinement of being, shaping identity and potential in ways that are gentle, cumulative, and profound. Loss, transformation, and renewal also play a role in the evolution of the soul. Departures and endings do not erase the essence of a being, but redirect and reshape it, creating new patterns of resonance. Echoes of past experiences linger, influencing decisions, awakening insight, and offering guidance even when the source is no longer present. This continuity gives the soul a remarkable resilience, allowing it to endure, adapt, and harmonize with the ever-shifting currents of life. It is both a record of existence and a compass, subtly guiding the being it inhabits through challenges, opportunities, and transformations. The source of souls is thus both intimate and vast. It is intimate in that it forms the essence of consciousness, shaping identity, perception, and emotion. It is vast in that it draws from a universal field of potentiality, connecting all living beings through subtle currents of energy and resonance. Each soul is unique yet inherently connected, a thread in the expansive web of life that stretches across ooh and beyond. Heroes, creatures, and magical entities alike navigate existence with souls that are responsive, evolving, and deeply intertwined with the world, participating in a quiet symphony of life that is both individual and collective. As we allow our minds to drift along with this understanding, we can picture souls flowing gently through ooh, brushing past trees, streams, mountains, and magical relics, each carrying traces of experience, intention, and connection. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others move through life guided not only by external circumstances, but by the subtle resonance of their own souls, interacting with others, harmonizing with stories and music, and attuning themselves to the quiet energy of the world around them. Every step, every choice, every moment of reflection contributes to the ongoing formation of consciousness, a gentle dance of energy that defines life in ooh. In this way, the source of souls is both everywhere and within, accessible through quiet attention, conscious action, and deep connection with the world and those around us. It is a patient, flowing presence, shaping heroes and creatures alike, guiding growth and transformation, and quietly harmonizing the rhythm of life with the infinite possibilities of existence. Each soul is a living testament to the subtle, beautiful, and enduring magic of being, a gentle current flowing through the heart of ooh, ever present, ever changing, and endlessly profound. Tonight, we float gently into one of the quietest yet most profound mysteries of ooh, destiny. Not the flashy, dramatic kind of fate often told in epic tales, but the subtle, invisible threads that guide action, influence choice, and shape possibility. Destiny in Adventure Time is rarely spelled out, yet it hums through every journey, every decision, and every ripple of consequence. Tonight we explore what destiny might be made of, how it flows, and how it interacts with heroes, souls, and the world itself. Destiny in ooh is less a strict script and more a living architecture, woven from countless threads of intention, action, and circumstance. It is neither fixed nor fully random. It is a field of possibility, a gentle current that interacts with the choices and energies of those who move through it. Finn's heroic journeys, for example, are shaped not solely by external events, but by the alignment of his choices with these currents. Each act of courage, empathy, or curiosity subtly nudges the trajectory of his path, influencing not only immediate outcomes, but the broader web of potential futures. In the quiet logic of ooh, destiny is inseparable from the soul. The resonance of consciousness interacts with the currents of possibility, forming patterns that guide action without constraining free will. Finn's bravery, Jake's flexibility, and Marceline's creative depth all intersect with these invisible threads, shaping how destiny unfolds. It is a living dialogue between intention, potential, and circumstance, rather than a predetermined chain of events. Each choice is a conversation with possibility, a gentle shaping of what might be into what becomes. Consider how stories themselves intertwine with destiny. As we explored in earlier segments, narratives are living entities in ooh, capable of influencing perception, shaping emotion, and subtly guiding action. When Finn encounters a story being, listens to a song, or witnesses an ancient legend, he engages with patterns that have their own resonance. These patterns interact with the currents of destiny, subtly influencing choice, perception, and outcome. Destiny is not isolated. It is woven into the living tapestry of stories, music, souls, and experience that constitute the world. The structure of destiny in U is also influenced by energy and attention. Moments of focused intention, deep reflection, or courageous action amplify certain currents, strengthening some possibilities while gently diminishing others. Finn's decisive actions in critical moments are not simply plot points. They are amplifications of underlying currents, resonances aligned with courage, empathy, and creativity. These alignments do not dictate outcome, but create conditions in which certain paths become more likely, while still allowing for variation and choice. Destiny is a river, not a cage, and heroes move through it with both guidance and freedom. Time, fluid as it is in U, adds a further layer to the anatomy of destiny. Events are often non-linear, echoing across past, present, and future. Currents of possibility ripple through multiple dimensions, influenced by choices yet sometimes independent of them. Finn may act in one moment without full awareness of its reverberation, yet the energy of that act resonates through both immediate and distant realities. Destiny is not a single line, but a field of interwoven trajectories, shaped by action, resonance, and the subtle energies that flow through life. Destiny is also remarkably sensitive to the smallest energies and intentions. A song sung in quiet reflection, a kind gesture, or a moment of insight can influence the currents, opening doors to paths previously hidden. In U, the world itself participates in this interplay. Forests, rivers, and magical artifacts respond to alignment and resonance, subtly guiding action and influencing consequence. Destiny is not only about personal choice, it is a living interaction between soul, environment, and the invisible energies that interlace them. Even apparent randomness contributes to destiny. Encounters with chance, mistakes, and unplanned events are not separate from the currents of possibility. They are part of the flow, introducing variation that allows the tapestry of life to remain dynamic. Finn's adventures often hinge on such moments where the unexpected aligns with the intention, producing outcomes that are both surprising and coherent within the underlying pattern. Destiny in U thrives on the interplay between structure and flexibility, pattern and improvisation, creating a living, breathing framework of possibility. The anatomy of destiny is also reflected in the archetypes that inhabit U. Heroes, mentors, villains, and tricksters embody recurring patterns of energy that interact with the currents of possibility. Finn's heroic archetype resonates with courage and empathy, subtly attracting opportunities, challenges, and guidance aligned with those qualities. The Lich embodies entropy and disruption, shaping destiny through tension and imbalance. Even seemingly minor characters contribute threads to the broader pattern, influencing the flow of events and the resonance of choice. This dynamic system suggests that destiny in U is less a matter of control and more a matter of attunement. Awareness, intention, and resonance align the soul with currents of possibility, amplifying certain outcomes while allowing for growth, learning, and transformation. Finn's heroism, Jake's adaptability, and Marceline's creative expression are all examples of beings moving in harmony with these currents, shaping and being shaped by the intricate network of energy, story, and experience that constitutes the living architecture of destiny. As we continue to drift through this quiet contemplation, we notice that destiny in U is inherently relational. It is shaped not only by the choices of a single being, but by the interactions between souls, stories, music, and the environment. Each encounter leaves subtle traces in the currents of possibility. When Finn comforts someone in distress, when Jake improvises to solve a problem, or when Marceline plays a melody that touches hearts, these acts ripple outward, subtly influencing the paths of others and gently reshaping the web of potential outcomes. Destiny is therefore a shared experience, a delicate choreography of interwoven energies that responds to the flow of life itself. Even the smallest gestures can carry weight in this intricate system. A quiet act of kindness, a moment of attention, or a deliberate choice to act with integrity strengthens the resonance of certain possibilities, gently nudging events toward alignment with courage, empathy, and hope. Conversely, acts rooted in fear, negligence, or cruelty can create discord, introducing tension that must be balanced or resolved. Destiny is not judgmental. It is a responsive field, reflecting the energy invested in life and shaping outcomes in ways both subtle and profound. Magic also plays a vital role in the anatomy of destiny. Enchanted artifacts, mystical locations, and spells all interact with the currents of possibility, amplifying or redirecting them. A sword attuned to heroism, a forest alive with ancient resonance, or a song steeped in intention can influence choices and outcomes without coercion. These interactions reveal that destiny is not merely a human or heroic concern. It is woven into the very fabric of the world, responding to alignment, intention, and resonance. Finn, Jake, and others navigate these subtle currents constantly, often without conscious awareness, guided by an invisible architecture of energy and potential. Time, with its fluid and non-linear nature in U, further shapes the unfolding of destiny. Actions reverberate beyond their immediate moment, influencing both past echoes and future possibilities. A single choice may resonate through multiple layers of reality, creating patterns that only reveal their significance gradually. Finn may act in courage today without knowing how it will ripple through tomorrow's events, yet the energy of that choice subtly aligns possibilities, guiding outcomes in ways that feel both natural and inevitable. Destiny, therefore, is a living field, continually shaped and reshaped by action, attention, and resonance. Chance and unpredictability are equally essential components. Unplanned encounters, mistakes, and the whims of fate introduce variation and dynamism into the currents of possibility. These moments ensure that destiny remains alive, flexible, and responsive rather than rigid and predetermined. Finn's adventures are full of such moments: an accidental discovery, an unexpected ally, or an unplanned confrontation that redirect paths while remaining coherent within the underlying pattern. Destiny in O thrives on the interplay of structure and spontaneity, blending intentional alignment with the gentle unpredictability of life. The archetypal nature of beings in U also reflects and reinforces destiny. Heroes, mentors, tricksters, and even antagonists embody recurring patterns of energy that influence events and choices. Finn's heroism resonates with courage and empathy, attracting experiences that challenge and refine these qualities. The Lich embodies destruction and entropy, shaping destiny by introducing imbalance and testing the resilience of souls. Even minor characters contribute threads to the larger tapestry, their actions subtly influencing outcomes, shaping the flow of possibility, and reinforcing the interconnectedness of all living things. Destiny is not an external force imposed upon a being. It is an intimate dialogue between consciousness and potential. Awareness, intention, and resonance align the soul with the currents of possibility, amplifying certain outcomes while leaving room for growth, learning, and transformation. Finn, Jake, and Marceline exemplify this dynamic interaction, moving in harmony with the subtle energies that flow through U, shaping and being shaped by the living architecture of destiny. The journey of each hero, the choices they make, and the energy they invest all ripple outward, participating in a quiet, profound choreography that spans the world, the soul, and the very currents of possibility themselves. As we continue to glide along the gentle currents of destiny, it becomes evident that the field of possibility in OO is deeply sensitive to the subtle energies of emotion and intention. Courage, hope, curiosity, and compassion act like gentle currents, reinforcing certain paths and creating resonance that attracts opportunity, insight, or alignment with larger patterns. When Finn chooses to face a challenge, not for glory, but for the sake of doing what is right, he subtly strengthens the threads of possibility that guide him toward outcomes aligned with his soul's resonance. Destiny is not coercive. It is participatory, shaped by the quiet energy that flows from choice, attention, and intention. Destiny also interacts with time in ways that are not immediately perceptible. The fluidity of time in OO allows events to reverberate across multiple layers of reality, linking past, present, and future. A seemingly small act, a decision made in a fleeting moment, may echo through unseen corridors of possibility, aligning circumstances and opportunities in ways that reveal their significance much later. Finn's courage, Jake's adaptability, and Marceline's creative insight all demonstrate the delicate layering of cause, resonance, and alignment that forms the living architecture of destiny. Actions resonate, influence, and intersect in a quiet web of interconnected potential. The anatomy of destiny is further revealed through the subtle ways that stories, music, and magic interlace with the currents of possibility. As we explored earlier, narratives are living entities capable of shaping perception, emotion, and choice. Music aligns thought and feeling with energy currents, subtly guiding the mind and heart toward clarity or insight. Magic interacts with both intention and resonance, amplifying certain outcomes while leaving room for flexibility and transformation. These forces do not impose destiny, but they participate in its formation, gently nudging paths into alignment with energy, choice, and purpose. Even randomness and unpredictability hold a vital role in shaping destiny. Moments of chance, unexpected encounters, and unplanned obstacles create variation within the web of possibility, allowing for growth, adaptation, and transformation. Finn's adventures often hinge upon such moments, a chance meeting with an ally, a fortuitous discovery, or an unforeseen challenge that redirect paths while remaining coherent within the subtle currents of alignment and resonance. Destiny in OO is thus dynamic, fluid, and responsive, a living network of energy, choice, and circumstance. The archetypes of O further illuminate the anatomy of destiny. Heroes, villains, mentors, tricksters, and magical beings embody recurring patterns of energy that guide events and influence outcomes. Finn's heroic archetype resonates with courage, empathy, and curiosity, naturally attracting experiences that challenge, refine, and amplify these qualities. The Lich, embodying entropy and destruction, introduces imbalance and tests the resilience of other souls. Even seemingly minor characters contribute threads to the greater pattern, their actions rippling outward to influence outcomes and shape the living choreography of possibility. Destiny is thus not external or imposed. It is a relational process. It emerges from the interaction of consciousness, intention, energy, and circumstance. Awareness, deliberate action, and resonance amplify certain paths while leaving room for learning, growth, and transformation. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and others navigate destiny not as a predetermined script, but as a living dialogue, moving in concert with invisible currents that respond to intention, alignment, and resonance. Their choices influence the world even as the world subtly shapes them, creating a quiet feedback loop in which life and potential are inseparable. Even challenges, failures, and setbacks carry significance within the anatomy of destiny. Moments of uncertainty or misstep introduce tension and variation, offering opportunities for reflection, insight, and growth. Finn's courage is tested not only in triumph, but in moments of doubt, struggle, or loss. These experiences enrich the pattern of possibility, deepening the resonance of the soul and refining alignment with the currents of energy that shape destiny. Every action, no matter how small or seemingly inconsequential, participates in the ongoing formation of the living architecture of possibility. Destiny in O is therefore a delicate synthesis of choice, resonance, energy, and circumstance. It is neither a rigid fate nor pure randomness, but a dynamic, responsive field of potential that interacts intimately with souls, stories, music, magic, and environment. Finn, Jake, and Marceline navigate this field with courage, creativity, and awareness, shaping the unfolding of events while simultaneously being shaped by them. Every act of intention, every moment of alignment, and every ripple of energy contributes to the ongoing, gentle choreography of life, guiding heroes and creatures alike toward the subtle harmonies that define possibility. And as we allow ourselves to sink deeper into this quiet contemplation, we begin to perceive destiny in Oo as a living, breathing network, responsive to the subtleties of choice, resonance, and attention. It is not an external force that dictates outcomes, nor is it a preordained path etched in stone. Rather, it is a field of flowing possibilities, shifting and adapting in response to the energies it encounters. Finn's courage, Jake's adaptability, and Marceline's creative intuition all act as conduits through which these currents flow, shaping outcomes while remaining attuned to the rhythms of the world around them. Destiny is participatory. It exists only in the interaction between consciousness and possibility, in the alignment of intention with energy, and in the harmonization of action with circumstance. Even the most subtle energies contribute to the unfolding of destiny. A thought, a feeling, or a quiet decision may seem inconsequential in the moment, yet it can ripple outward, subtly influencing currents and creating conditions for events yet to come. Finn's small acts of empathy or kindness resonate with invisible threads, aligning him with opportunities, insights, or guidance that might otherwise remain unseen. Jake's intuitive choices often harmonize with these currents, amplifying or redirecting the flow of possibility in ways that feel organic and effortless. Marceline's music, rich with memory and emotion, interacts with the energy of the world, shaping subtle outcomes that are felt rather than immediately observed. Each of these contributions reveals how deeply personal energy participates in the broader architecture of destiny, and how every soul, every action, every resonance matters. The interplay between choice and resonance is perhaps the most remarkable aspect of destiny. Currents of possibility do not coerce. They offer alignment. A soul attuned to courage, empathy, or insight naturally attracts opportunities that reinforce and expand those qualities. Conversely, moments of inattention, fear, or discord introduce subtle tension into the currents, offering challenges and lessons that may ultimately deepen awareness and refine resonance. Destiny, in this sense, is an ongoing negotiation, a dance between the energies within the soul and the larger flows of the world. Heroes do not simply follow a path, they participate in its creation, co-authoring outcomes with the living energies that surround them. Time, fluid and non-linear in Oo, further enriches this delicate architecture. Actions ripple across multiple layers of existence, reverberating backward and forward in subtle ways. Finn's bravery may influence the outcome of a distant event, Jake's insight may echo in future decisions, and Marceline's melodies may awaken latent potentials long after the notes have faded. Destiny is therefore a multidimensional field, where past, present, and future converge, creating a network of influence that is responsive, adaptive, and deeply interwoven with the flow of life. Magic, stories, and the environment participate in this ongoing process as well. Magical artifacts, enchanted locations, and mystical phenomena respond to resonance, subtly guiding alignment and shaping possibility. Stories act as living currents, influencing perception, emotional state, and choice. Music aligns attention and emotion with energy, further harmonizing interaction with destiny. Together, these forces create a responsive ecosystem in which souls navigate with freedom, yet remain guided by the subtle architecture of alignment, intention, and potential. Chance and unpredictability are integral to this design. Unplanned events, accidental discoveries, and unexpected encounters introduce variation and flexibility, ensuring that destiny remains dynamic and alive. Finn's adventures are filled with such moments: an unforeseen ally, a sudden challenge, or a fortuitous discovery that redirect paths while maintaining coherence within the broader field of possibility. Destiny thrives on this balance, integrating randomness with alignment, spontaneity with intention, and uncertainty with subtle guidance. The archetypal patterns that populate O further clarify the structure of destiny. Heroes, mentors, tricksters, and antagonists embody recurring energies that interact with souls and possibilities. Finn's heroic pattern resonates with courage, empathy, and curiosity, naturally attracting experiences that challenge, refine, and reinforce these qualities. The Lich embodies entropy and disruption, testing resilience and introducing complexity into the field. Even minor characters influence the tapestry, their actions creating ripples that interact with the energies of others, shaping the subtle flow of events. Ultimately, destiny in Ur is a living, evolving network of resonance, energy, and intention. It is intimate in that it interacts with individual souls and their choices. It is vast in that it encompasses interactions with the world, stories, music, magic, and other consciousnesses. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others move through this field, shaping and being shaped by its currents, guided not by coercion, but by alignment, resonance, and participation. Every choice, every reflection, every quiet act contributes to the ongoing formation of possibility, a delicate and beautiful choreography that weaves life, intention, and potential into the living fabric of existence. As we let this settle in our minds, we can imagine the currents of destiny flowing softly across U, brushing past mountains, forests, rivers, and ruins, touching every soul, story, and melody. Heroes, creatures, and magical entities move in subtle harmony with these invisible flows, navigating life with courage, empathy, and awareness. Every step taken, every choice made, every song sung, and every story told adds to this intricate dance, shaping the unfolding of events in ways both gentle and profound. Destiny is alive, participatory, and enduring, a subtle architecture of potential that guides without constraining, harmonizes without dictating, and whispers possibilities into the quiet heart of O. Tonight, as we drift toward the final currents of our journey, we arrive at the most elusive and expansive mystery of all, the infinite abstract. In U, this is the space beyond the tangible, beyond even magic or destiny, where all ideas, forms, and possibilities emerge. It is neither a place nor a time, yet it permeates everything, subtly shaping reality, influencing consciousness, and giving birth to the concepts that heroes, creatures, and the very land itself inhabit. Tonight we will explore this quiet, boundless realm where imagination becomes life and where the seeds of all thought, story, and creation quietly reside. The infinite abstract is a space of pure potential, a field where thought and possibility coexist in a fluid, ever-changing interplay. It is the source from which concepts like heroism, courage, love, and curiosity flow into ooh. Even the smallest ideas ripple outward, eventually taking form as stories, melodies, or the faint whisper of intuition. In this way, the infinite abstract acts as a reservoir, a quiet wellspring from which creativity, invention, and consciousness draw their essence. It is not ordered or chaotic, but a living, responsive continuum that adapts to the attention, intention, and resonance of those who interact with it. In ooh, the influence of the infinite abstract is subtle yet profound. When Finn feels the stirrings of heroism within him, when Jake contemplates the possibilities of life, or when Marceline's music evokes emotions too complex for words, they are tapping into currents that originate in this boundless realm. These currents are not dictated by rules or logic, but emerge from the interplay of imagination, resonance, and potential. Ideas exist here in their purest form, unshaped by circumstance or ego, yet capable of influencing every corner of the world once they are drawn into consciousness. Every concept, no matter how concrete it appears, originates here. The idea of heroism, for instance, is not simply a cultural construct within ooh. It is a living energy that predates kingdoms, battles, and even the heroes themselves. Heroism first exists as a pattern of intention and possibility, a vibration in the infinite abstract, before manifesting in beings like Finn. Similarly, the notion of stories as living entities, of music as transformative, or even of destiny as a flowing architecture, all emerge from this quiet, infinite source. They are energies first, patterns of potential that later crystallize into forms perceivable in the world. Interacting with the infinite abstract is not always intentional. Some beings, like Prismo or cosmic entities, can consciously navigate its currents, drawing ideas, shaping possibilities, and influencing outcomes in ways that feel almost miraculous. For mortals and heroes, however, the interaction is subtler, almost instinctual. A creative impulse, a sudden insight, or a moment of courage can all be seen as the soul resonating with the infinite abstract, allowing a fragment of its boundless potential to ripple into reality. These moments often feel spontaneous, yet they are the natural result of alignment between intention, resonance, and the quiet energies of this infinite field. The infinite abstract also demonstrates the interconnectedness of all ideas. Concepts do not exist in isolation. They intersect, overlap, and influence one another in subtle and sometimes unpredictable ways. Courage and empathy, for example, may emerge together, amplifying their resonance in beings attuned to both. Stories, music, and experiences interact with these ideas, creating patterns that guide perception, choice, and action. In this sense, the infinite abstract is not merely a source, but a web, a living matrix of potentiality from which every thought, story, and form emerges and returns. Ideas drawn from the infinite abstract carry their own subtle energy. When Finn embodies heroism, he is not merely enacting a story. He is participating in a resonance that exists beyond time and space. Jake's playful insight, Marceline's emotional creativity, and the countless minor threads of thought and inspiration in ooh all contribute to and draw from this energy. Every act of creation, reflection, or imaginative engagement strengthens the link between the tangible world and this infinite source. allowing potential to flow into reality with quiet, persistent grace. The infinite abstract is also deeply responsive to consciousness. Attention, intention, and perception act as channels through which its currents flow. A soul attuned to curiosity, empathy, or wonder is naturally aligned with certain currents, drawing ideas into experience, shaping perception, and catalyzing creation. Conversely, inattention, fear, or closed-mindedness can block resonance, leaving possibilities unrealized or dormant. Interaction with the infinite abstract is therefore not passive. It is a dialogue, a gentle co-creation between being and potential, between intention and the boundless currents of possibility that underpin OO. This realm is also remarkably timeless. Ideas exist before they manifest, enduring in the infinite abstract until a consciousness aligns with their resonance and brings them into the world. Heroism existed before Finn, stories existed before they were told, and music existed before it was sung. Each idea waits patiently, a quiet seed of potential, ready to bloom when attention, intention, and resonance allow. Time in the infinite abstract is not linear, but fluid, allowing every possibility to coexist, interact, and evolve, untouched by the constraints of a world bound by sequence or causality. Even the abstract qualities we rarely name, the sense of destiny, the spark of courage, the whisper of intuition, emerge from this infinite well. They ripple outward into consciousness and experience, guiding action, shaping perception, and aligning with the subtle currents of soul, story, music, and environment. In OO, these energies are not metaphors. They are active forces, quietly influencing every choice, every interaction, and every resonance in ways that are gentle, cumulative, and profound. As we drift further into the infinite abstract, it becomes clear that this realm is not separate from the world of OO, but deeply interwoven with it. Every mountain, river, forest, and ruin carries echoes of these infinite ideas, subtle vibrations that influence perception and experience. A hero's courage, a trickster's cunning, or a song's haunting melody all resonate with threads drawn from this boundless source. These threads are never fully constrained. They remain fluid, adapting to the attention, intention, and resonance of those who encounter them. In this way, the infinite abstract is both origin and companion, guiding without dictating, influencing without imposing, and shaping life in ways that are quiet, subtle, and profound. Every act of creativity or insight in OO can be seen as a channeling of the infinite abstract. When Finn devises a clever plan, when Jake imagines a new shape, or when Marceline composes a melody that evokes deep emotion, they are aligning with these currents of possibility, drawing fragments of infinite potential into tangible form. Ideas crystallize into action, perception, innate, or creation, but their origin remains fluid, a quiet resonance that continues to influence all subsequent interactions. This flow ensures that life in OO is never static. Every thought, choice, or act of imagination contributes to the ongoing evolution of possibility, expanding the reach of the infinite abstract. The infinite abstract also explains the seemingly impossible phenomena of OO. Magical transformations, talking animals, sentient objects, and living stories are manifestations of ideas given form, drawn from a source that is not limited by conventional logic or physical constraints. The universe of O is, in a sense, a living projection of these infinite potentials, a world in which thought and resonance shape reality as surely as mountains or rivers. Even the strange, whimsical, or surreal events we witness in OO are expressions of this boundless field, subtle interactions between consciousness and the infinite abstract that have been drawn into perceptible form. Ideas from the infinite abstract are rarely singular. They often emerge as networks of potential, interconnected and multidimensional. Courage may align with empathy, creativity may resonate with curiosity, and stories may intersect with music, forming patterns that influence multiple aspects of experience simultaneously. This interconnectedness ensures that no idea exists in isolation. Every thought, action, and resonance participates in a larger, invisible tapestry that underlies life in ooh. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and all beings in this world navigate these threads consciously or unconsciously, drawing on the infinite abstract as they shape reality and respond to it. This interaction between the infinite abstract and conscious beings also highlights the role of perception. The resonance of an idea depends not only on its source, but on the attentiveness and openness of those who engage with it. A hero attuned to courage and curiosity may perceive and manifest patterns that remain hidden to others. A musician aligned with emotion and memory may channel melodies that awaken subtle truths in listeners. The infinite abstract is sensitive to these alignments, responding to attention and intention, allowing certain possibilities to emerge while others remain latent, waiting patiently for the right resonance to bring them into being. Creativity and inspiration in ooh, then, are never random. They are the tangible expressions of the infinite abstract, filtered through the soul, aligned with resonance, and shaped by attention. Finn's heroism, Jake's playful ingenuity, and Marceline's evocative music all demonstrate the gentle interplay between potential and form. Every story told, every song played, every act of courage or empathy is a manifestation of ideas from this infinite source, given life through alignment with the consciousness and energy. The infinite abstract is therefore both origin and guide, providing the seeds from which life, story, and experience grow. Even the mysteries that remain unexplained in oh, why a hero arises, how stories breathe, where music carries us, and what forms a soul or destiny can be traced back to this infinite field. It is the wellspring of all possibility, the quiet source from which the abstract and the concrete alike flow. The infinite abstract exists beyond need, beyond time, and beyond comprehension, yet it interacts with life in subtle, tangible, and transformative ways. Finn's courage, Jake's adaptability, and Marceline's creative intuition are all small windows into the infinite, glimpses of the boundless potential that surrounds and permeates the world. As we continue our gentle journey into the infinite abstract, we begin to sense that it is not a static repository of ideas, but a living, evolving field. Ideas within it shift, interact, and transform, responding to currents of attention, intention, and resonance. The heroism that shapes Finn's adventures, the imaginative fluidity that defines Jake, and the emotional depth that animates Marceline's music are all drawn from this dynamic interplay. Each act of creation, reflection, or choice engages with the infinite abstract, allowing fragments of boundless potential to ripple into ooh, giving form and subtle energy to everything from stories to songs, from courage to empathy. The infinite abstract also demonstrates that every possibility exists simultaneously, waiting to be aligned with consciousness to manifest in reality. Time here is fluid, non-linear, and expansive, allowing multiple threads of potential to coexist, intersect, and influence one another. A single action by a hero may reverberate across countless possible futures, subtly shifting the alignment of events, outcomes, and perception. Finn may climb a mountain or face a villain, and the energy of that choice interacts with countless currents, amplifying some possibilities while leaving others latent, all emerging from the same infinite field of potential. Creativity in OO is therefore a kind of dialogue with the infinite abstract. Every story told, every song sung, every decision made is a conversation with this infinite field, a gentle negotiation between intention and possibility. Finn's courage is not only his own, but also a resonance with the broader currents of heroism that exist within the infinite abstract. Jake's improvisation and fluidity are attuned to patterns of adaptability and transformation that are already present in potential. Marceline's music channels emotion, memory, and imagination, giving voice to ideas that exist beyond the boundaries of the tangible world. Each being, in their own way, becomes a conduit for the subtle energies that flow from this boundless source. Ideas emerging from the infinite abstract are rarely isolated. They intertwine, creating networks of potential that influence multiple aspects of life simultaneously. Courage may harmonize with empathy, curiosity may resonate with wisdom, and creativity may amplify the perception of wonder. These interconnections are not always immediately obvious, yet they shape the experiences, choices, and trajectories of those who engage with them. In OO, the relationships between ideas are as important as the ideas themselves, forming an intricate lattice that guides perception, action, and the evolution of consciousness. Even those moments of mystery, uncertainty, or inexplicable coincidence are expressions of this infinite field. Encounters with strange phenomena, sudden insights, or seemingly random events are often the subtle manifestation of currents flowing from the infinite abstract. Finn's heroism, Jake's shape-shifting ingenuity, and Marceline's musical intuition are all influenced by these currents, allowing fragments of potential to take form and guide action. This interplay creates a world in which the extraordinary and the mundane coexist seamlessly, in which the unseen energies of possibility shape the visible world in quiet, persistent ways. The infinite abstract is also highly sensitive to the alignment of attention and resonance. A being attuned to curiosity, courage, or empathy is naturally aligned with certain currents, allowing them to draw ideas into conscious awareness more readily. Conversely, inattention, fear, or discord can leave potential dormant, unnoticed, or unmanifested. The field responds to the subtle energies of consciousness, amplifying alignment, supporting creative flow, and gently guiding manifestation without dictating form. Interaction with the infinite abstract is thus participatory, a co-creative process between the individual and the boundless currents of possibility. Moreover, the infinite abstract connects all living beings, stories, music, and magical forces into a vast, interwoven network. Finn's actions ripple through the currents, affecting not only his own experiences, but also those of others, consciously or unconsciously. Jake's playful insights, Marceline's emotional expression, and even minor acts of creativity or courage contribute threads to this vast tapestry. Each interaction, each resonance, adds to the collective field, shaping the currents from which new ideas emerge. The infinite abstract is therefore both personal and universal, intimate and boundless, flowing through OO and beyond in a quiet, infinite dance of potential. Ideas in the infinite abstract also carry a sense of timelessness. They exist before they are conceived, enduring until a being aligns with their resonance and draws them into form. Heroism existed before Finn, stories existed before they were told, and music existed before it was sung. Every idea waits patiently, a seed of potentiality ready to bloom when aligned with consciousness. These seeds are not random. They are subtle currents of resonance, quietly shaping reality in ways that are both profound and imperceptible. Finn's courage, Jake's creativity, and Marceline's music are all manifestations of these seeds, brought into tangible form through alignment and attention. The infinite abstract, in essence, is the ultimate origin of all that is unseen, unspoken, and unformed. It is the source from which heroism, stories, music, souls, and destiny all emerge, interweaving with consciousness and the tangible world to create the living, breathing reality of ooh. It is at once everywhere and nowhere, a boundless reservoir of potential that flows through every choice, every act, and every resonance. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and countless others continually interact with this infinite field, drawing fragments of possibility into the world and shaping reality through the subtle, ongoing dance of attention, intention, and alignment. As we settle ever more quietly into the contemplation of the infinite abstract, it becomes clear that this boundless field is the heartbeat of possibility in ooh. It is not separate from the world we see, nor from the heroes, creatures, and beings who inhabit it. Rather, it flows through everything, a subtle current beneath the surface of experience, quietly informing perception, guiding action, and giving life to every story, song, and act of courage. Finn, in his bravery and curiosity, channels fragments of heroism that existed long before he was born, bringing them into form and harmonizing them with the world around him. Jake, with his playful ingenuity and fluid adaptability, aligns with the currents of transformation and improvisation, drawing possibilities into tangible expression. Marceline, through her music, touches the invisible threads of emotion, memory, and imagination, allowing them to ripple outward into reality in the hearts of those who perceive her creations. Every being, every action, and every thought contributes to this living tapestry. The infinite abstract does not force form upon the world. It offers resonance and potential, awaiting the alignment of consciousness to give it life. Each choice, each creative impulse, each act of attention is a gentle co-creation with this infinite source, shaping the unfolding of reality in ways that are both subtle and profound. Finn's heroism is not simply a story told. It is a resonance drawn from the infinite abstract, amplified by courage and empathy, and woven into the ongoing narrative of ooh. Jake's insights do not emerge in isolation. They are reflections of currents already present, resonating with patterns of possibility that are infinite in their reach. Marceline's music is more than sound. It is an active channeling of abstract energy, touching both soul and environment, bridging the gap between potential and manifestation. The infinite abstract also reveals the interconnectivity of all things. Every idea, every form, every expression emerges in relation to countless others, creating a vast, intricate web of potential. Courage interacts with empathy. Curiosity resonates with creativity, and music intersects with story, forming a lattice of subtle energies that guides perception, action, and consequence. Even seemingly minor or fleeting moments contribute to this network, rippling through the currents of possibility, influencing outcomes, and shaping the collective experience of ooh. The infinite abstract is both origin and canvas, source and stage, a living ecosystem of potential that responds to the alignment, attention, and resonance of consciousness. Time, in this boundless realm, behaves differently than in the world we perceive. Past, present, and future coexist, intertwined and fluid, allowing ideas to persist and evolve independently of linear progression. Heroism existed before Finn, creativity before Jake, and song before Marceline. These currents of potential are patient, enduring until they align with the resonance of consciousness and take form in the tangible world. This timelessness ensures that the infinite abstract remains a living, dynamic wellspring, ever present and endlessly generative, quietly shaping reality through the alignment of attention and intention. Even the mysteries that remain unexplained in Ooh, the origins of heroism, the life of stories, the transformative power of music, the source of souls, and the nature of destiny can be traced back to this infinite field. The infinite abstract is the underlying thread that unites these mysteries, a subtle source of potential that flows through all aspects of existence. Every act of creation, reflection, courage, or empathy draws upon its currents, allowing fragments of possibility to ripple into Ooh and animate the world with quiet magic. It is in these interactions that the essence of the infinite abstract becomes perceivable, not as a visible object, but as a living resonance woven through thought, action, and being. As we allow our minds to drift gently with this understanding, we can imagine the infinite abstract as a luminous, boundless sea of potential, stretching beyond comprehension, yet flowing softly into every corner of Ooh. Each ripple in this sea carries ideas, energies, and possibilities, patiently waiting for alignment with consciousness to manifest. Finn's courage, Jake's ingenuity, and Marceline's music all act as channels through which these ripples enter the world, shaping the unfolding of events in quiet but profound ways. Every choice, every reflection, every song, and every story is a co-creation with this infinite source, a gentle harmonization of potential and form. The infinite abstract, then, is both beginning and end, origin and culmination. It is the source of all that we perceive and all that remains unseen. It is the gentle current that guides action without dictating it, the quiet resonance that shapes perception without imposing it, and the boundless field from which every story, idea, and possibility flows. Finn, Jake, Marceline, and all beings of Ooh are not separate from it. They are expressions of it, attuned to its subtle energies, participating in its ongoing dance of creation. In this way, the infinite abstract is alive, responsive, and eternal, quietly infusing the world with the infinite potential of thought, imagination, and existence. So as we close our eyes tonight and drift gently into sleep, we can imagine the infinite abstract softly flowing through the world, touching each soul, each story, each melody, and each choice. Its currents are everywhere, invisible yet profoundly present, guiding and harmonizing the unfolding of life in Ooh. Every act of courage, every whisper of creativity, and every heartbeat of intention is a quiet conversation with this infinite source, a gentle participation in the eternal dance of potential. The mysteries we have explored tonight, the birth of heroism, the life of stories, the transformative power of music, the source of souls, the architecture of destiny, and the boundless infinite abstract itself, all converge here in the quiet, infinite field from which everything emerges and returns. Good night.